These are the top 25 badass movie fight scenes from each year this century. Yu Shu-lien vs Jian Yu for some Girl Boss 101. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon 2000. Kicking things off with some girl power is the right thing to do, as 2000's most epic fight sequence happens to be between Yu Shu-lien and Jian Yu from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Michelle Yeoh may only be getting her flowers now, but she was always a badass, as can be seen here. The women fight it out in epic fashion with choreography that will put modern directors to shame. The sword fighting was top-notch stuff as well, although I personally feel that Yu Shu-lien was holding back a little. Not that it mattered as much in the grand scheme of things, as Jian Yu made a swift escape when the master shows up. But yeah, this was 5 whole minutes of commendable action. A massage parlor that offers everything. Rush Hour 2, 2001. I know it's hard to believe that the best fight scene from 2001 involves Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker getting massages, but hey, this is a lot better than a Spinosaurus killing a teenage T-Rex, right? Even so, for a movie that was made in the early 2000s, the fight scene holds up better than most action movies today. Rush Hour 2 was mainly a comedy film, but the fight scene at Ricky Tan's parlor was super impressive, especially because you wouldn't associate someone like Carter to be such a competent fighter. The way he and Lee teamed up here was exactly what the fans wanted to see, and some of the humour was top tier stuff too. Yeah, I know some of it won't flow with the modern political climate, but hey, we're all men of culture here, and we appreciate good jokes with our fights.
Why didn't you tell me this man rolls like this?
I told you already.
No, you didn't.
I did.
What you say?
I did this.
What do this mean, man? Speak English to me.
The American Psycho is not without incident. Equilibrium, 2002.
I'm coming.
You can call him John or Christian Bale or whatever. This dude is Patrick Bateman in my eyes, and nothing can change my mind. The epic battle from Equilibrium has been chosen as the top moment of 2002 simply because of how excessive and grand it's made out to be. I know that logic isn't always on display throughout this sequence, but it's just so entertaining that you can't help but watch it right till the very end. Bro was channeling his inner Neo from the Matrix and made no effort to hide it at all. Well, we did get a rather entertaining scene out of it, so I'm not complaining at all. A legacy scene in its own right. Old Boy, 2003. I was briefly considering The Bride versus the Crazy 88 for this entry, but come on, Old Boy has built a legacy of its own and has a lot more replay value too. I mean, I can only think of Dai Su-oh charging through endless opponents whenever I watch any hallway fight. That's how much of an impact this particular sequence has made on pop culture. Even the 2022 game Sifu has a section that pays homage to this fight. Now, if we consider the fight by itself, I don't think I'll say anything new because I've already covered it so many times. I do like how all of those dudes were trying to fight him all at once, but were also too scared to even come close to him. It's an excellent example of why Korean cinema deserves praise from people all over the world. An epic saga of historical proportions. Troy, 2004. Hector vs Achilles was pretty much the big moment everyone was waiting for in 2004's Troy, and it is such a big moment, I had no other choice but to make it the official entry from its year of release. This is honestly one of the greatest duels I've ever seen on the big screen. The choreography, the cinematography, the performances, the build-up, the emotions, all of them culminate into something special. The way the fight tells so much about the characters is a testament to Troy's overall value as a film. I love the moment when Hector slashes Achilles' breastplate and Achilles looks down in shock at the fact that Hector was actually able to land a strike on him. It proves that Hector is the best he's ever fought. Modern directors should be looking at this scene more often as a reference point. Tony Jaa can fight anywhere. The Protector, 2005. Tony Jaa just needs a camera in front of him and he'll fight like it's his last fight. The staircase scene from 2005's The Protector is so greatly choreographed that no other film even stood a chance to compete against it. I'm not just saying this as a fanboy, of course, because if you go on to consider how much work the stuntmen had to put in to ensure it's a flawless one-take sequence, you'll know why it deserves all the praise in the world. Trust me, one wrong move and it could have turned fatal for them, especially considering it had to be done in one take. Khan goes all out here, taking down enemies and exposing unfaithful husbands at the same time. Yeah, those dudes definitely got busted, and not in the way they would have liked. Either way, it's a great fight sequence that truly deserves as much recognition as it can get. The king of slow-mo fights, 300. 2006. Is anything as iconic as ripped gym bros screaming at the top of their lungs while they fight their way through a Persian army all in slow motion? That's exactly why this scene from 300 is my official entry from 2006. Remember the Troy scene a couple of entries ago? Remember the line about a king fighting in his own battles? Yeah, Leonidas is Zack Snyder's answer to that quote, and Gerard Butler is so masculine in this battle that my testosterone went up simply by watching it. I know that sounds kind of sus, but just look at what we're witnessing here, especially the part where King Leonidas goes God mode and slashes through his opponents one after the other. Like, the violence is extreme, but Snyder makes it so stylish with his color grading and camera movements that you're almost mesmerized by the extreme acts of ruthlessness on display from both sides. Even the shield bash was badass AF. I mean, I can definitely say with certainty that gym membership signups were at an all-time high shortly after this film was released. Can't even bathe in peace. Eastern Promises, 2007. I don't know if you've seen Eastern Promises from 2007, but believe me, this fight scene alone makes the movie worth your watch. Viggo Mortensen puts on a spectacular display during the Turkish bath battle against those two assassins, and it's as realistic as a fight scene can get. Poor Nikolai was just thinking that he'll get to chill and experience some culture, but instead ended up taking 2 lives after a rather intense struggle. I'd imagine this is how people get killed in real life, but damn, David Cronenberg really bared it all here, although technically speaking, it's Viggo who's in his birthday suit throughout the battle. That final section where the barely alive assassin suddenly starts choking Nikolai was definitely unexpected, and a great way to keep the sequence's intensity alive right till the end. Imagine sending 2 guys to assassinate an unsuspecting naked bloke and later finding out that he killed them both. I guess bro should have known that guys usually get cocky when they're not wearing any clothing, eh? Ip Man and karate do not mix well. Ip Man, 2008. I think it's a fairly established fact that Donnie Yen doesn't like karate, and if you need any further proof of that, you can watch the fight against the 10 black belts from 2008's Ip Man. It's a sequence that's topped multiple TV region lists before, and would have probably topped this one too if I wasn't covering the entries in chronological order. Ip Man's skills have been the topic of discussion amongst martial arts fighters ever since the first movie was released, and if you look at the speed and precision of Yen's blows, you know exactly why it has so much hype. Karate isn't some sissy fighting style, it's a respected form of combat. When you're up against 10 people having achieved black belt status, you'd surely be a bit nervous. Not Ip Man though, bro silently and calmly took his opponents down just to prove a point. That's the kind of petty that I like. Don't let a man's attire fool you. Blood and Bone, 2009. Just because a dude's not suited up to a fight scene doesn't mean you should take him lightly. There's even more reason for you to exercise caution when said dude is Michael Jai White. Sure, Price was a super skilled fighter, but there's no way he was ever going to top Mr. Bone in a battle to the death. Well, luckily for him, it didn't go on till that point, as Bone actually taps out just to make sure James doesn't win any money from it. Now that's the whole other level of hating, but it's warranted. Plus, it kind of establishes Bone as this ultra plus Giga Chad who doesn't care about winning or losing as long as he's able to send a message. The fight by itself is also great as we get to watch two great martial artists going at each other in contrasting outfits. I still gotta praise Price for being able to fight so well despite being in restrictive clothing. The power of practical effects. Inception, 2010. Choosing a Christopher Nolan movie for my entries isn't a difficult choice, especially when you have scenes like the rotating hallway fight from Inception. Arthur's encounter with the assassin was a breathtaking display of skill and execution, and I don't just mean in terms of the actual fighting. This scene is totally enhanced because of the practical effects which made the spinning hallway a possibility. That's right, there's no use of CGI for this sequence, which makes its eventual output all the more impressive. The inspiration for this came most notably from Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey, where the director managed to get some amazing shots all the way back in 1968. Yeah, some film geeks will tell me that Kubrick got the idea from someone before him, but that's just how art works. At the end of the day, it's Kubrick's film that has been recognized and imitated the most out of all of its contemporaries. I mean, as far as this scene goes, Christopher Nolan has admitted it himself. A villain stronger than the MC. Raid Redemption, 2011. 2v1 always looks cool when the hero is the one taking down multiple opponents. However, in the case of Raid Redemption, it's the other way around, and frankly speaking, I'm a fan of Mad Dog for the way he flexes in this intense sequence. Martial arts being used in high-profile fight scenes is always welcome in the humble abode of the TV region, and here we are treated to not one, but three experts showcasing slick moves and undeniable tenacity. You'd think that Rama would emerge the lone victor if he took on Mad Dog by himself, especially after watching him beat multiple opponents at the same time. However, Bro struggles for an extended duration even with the help of Andy. These dudes were clearly punching above their weight, as Mad Dog would have easily won the fight if he became serious even a few seconds earlier. Rama didn't hesitate at all when it came to slitting his opponent's throat because he knew he wouldn't have been able to last much longer if the fight continued at its current pace. So yeah, the real MVP from this scene is actually the villain. The Dark Knight gets owned. The Dark Knight Rises, 2012.
The shadows betray you because they belong to me.
It's rare to see someone like Batman getting owned and schooled at the same time, so that's why The Dark Knight Rises gains the winning spot from 2012, despite worthy competition such as the many fight sequences from the first Avengers film. Bane was so badass during this sequence that people genuinely believed he was going to be the best villain from Nolan's trilogy. We couldn't have been more wrong though, but the hype was undeniable at this point. It's not like Batman just stood there taking punches either. Bro really tried his best to utilize all his skills to outsmart his opponent, but nothing worked at all. Hiding in the darkness only turned out to be a disadvantage as Bane goes on to give a speech that would send shivers down anyone's spine. If only Bruce Wayne didn't let his intrusive thoughts take over while dealing with Catwoman. However, you can't really blame a man of culture for blindly following Anne Hathaway in a tight bodysuit.
Your spirit? Oh, your buddy!
Taking on two kaijus for maximum aura. Pacific Rim, 2013. Taking on a single Category 4 kaiju is a task and a half, but if you want to win over movies like Man of Steel and Wolverine, you need to take down 2 of those bad boys. Just ask Gypsy Danger. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. Bro was able to defeat Leatherback, who was already tough enough to destroy multiple Jaegers by himself. That was epic for sure, but we all knew at this point in Pacific Rim that Odachi was the MVP of the kaijus. She wasn't going to go down just for the sake of the plot, and she proved it in an immensely visual battle against Gypsy Danger. The fact that she still had enough in her to bring out those wings and carry a freaking analog Jaeger as high as she did goes on to prove her mental fortitude and tenacity, despite being mostly showcased as a savage beast. I've praised the choice to make the Jaeger's movement super slow due to their sizes, and it works perfectly in this scene as Gypsy Danger really has to improvise every single time to get the better of his opponent. Now, the fight obviously was a sight to behold, but I still feel that our heroes could have started off with the sword, especially after emptying the clip on Leatherback. Like, come on Beckett, surely you would have known that that was the safer bet.
No pulse.
The kitchen gets cooked. The Raid 2, 2014. Now this is a scene that cooks. That's right, Gen Z loves using this term nowadays, so I figure even I should join in the fun too, right? The funny thing is that this epic fight happens inside a kitchen, so I'm not too far off from being literally accurate as well. I'll give honourable mentions to scenes like the elevator fight from Captain America the Winter Soldier, but come on, this scene was replicated in Jujutsu Kaisen, so I think it's safe to say which one has more of a cultural impact. But seriously, as a fight scene, there's nothing more close to Rama vs the Assassin in 2014. I had respect for both parties once the battle ended, and yes, I can admit that either one of those two could have won the fight. There was no difference in skill, and both fighters gave it their all without holding back even for a second. I especially love the way this fight begins. Most people would ask, why not just rush him and catch him off guard? But as a man with honour and respect, you never start a fight by catching your opponent off guard, or with cheap shots. You position and guard up evenly, make sure you and your opponents are ready, and then you fight. After that, anything goes, which is pretty much what happens here. Tony Jaa needs assistance sometimes. SPL 2, A Time for Consequences, 2015. Yeah, I know it's not a legit top 10 entry because we're covering entries by year of release, but having said that, Tony Jaa does belong in elite company, so I'd say he fits here perfectly. However, you'd be surprised to learn that the main star of this particular fight is actually Max Yang, and Mr. Jaa actually needs assistance from another legend, Wu Jing, to take him down. Sure, he has to beat a whole bunch of goons before that, but I still find it hard to believe that a master like Mr. Jaa would ever come across such a deadly opponent. It's a brutal display of martial arts as Dark and Kit team up to counter Ko Chun, but get bested even after that. The way they show the antagonist countering each fighter's signature moves is just a work of art. I can't even imagine the kind of training you'd have to go through to get as fast as Ko Chun. Seriously, I haven't seen perfect dodging like that since Goku gave us Ultra Instinct. I guess Asian films just have a way of portraying martial arts in a way the rest of the world hasn't been able to. Kudos to everyone who managed to put this scene together. You know, it really was an entertaining watch. Catching Flights and Punches. Captain America Civil War, 2016. Comic book movies are a staple at the TV region, and even though they haven't dominated this video, one of them does end up topping 2016's offerings, and it's the airport battle from Captain America Civil War. The There's just so much happening here that you can't really focus on one or two characters. I mean, it starts off by introducing the world to the MCU's Spider-Man, and then you have Team Iron Man facing off against Team Cap in an epic encounter. I know they had to use plot armor to make Steve Rogers' folks put up a good fight, but we managed to get a great memory out of it after all. There's Giant Ant-Man, Spidey taking on Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Black Panther scratching Captain America's shield. I mean, where do I even begin? There was so much talk about this film clashing with Batman vs Superman in terms of box office returns, but this scene alone places it miles above its DC opposition. And yeah, I know I'm supposed to just focus on the fighting, but I only just realised how Ant-Man uses an innuendo when he says, "I've got something kind of big, but I can't hold it very long." Yeah, that one totally went over my head when I saw it the first time.
I got something kind of big, but I can't hold it very long. On my signal, run like hell.
An elongated battle. Atomic Blonde 2017. If tired and sloppy ever had a face in the world of fight scenes, it's this one from 2017's Atomic Blonde. Of course I say that as a good thing because it represents exactly how fights would turn out in the real world. Charlize Theron trained really hard for this role, and even then, she got seriously injured while shooting this scene, which proves just how much determination and sacrifice had to go into achieving it. This is obviously a girl power moment, but not a stupid one, as Lorraine genuinely struggles to hold on to dear life throughout the lengthy take. She ends up on top, but only after combining her physicality with the available weapons and her strategic thinking. She knew she wasn't going to win a fist fight, so she resorted to giving us an excellent display of fighting choreography that far surpasses anything else which came out during its release year. There's this particular moment where Lorraine holds the gun slider in a way that prevents the shell from ejecting upon being fired. Then a few seconds later, she cocks back the gun to fire it. This is great planning and execution through and through. It kind of makes you wonder if such fights actually happen in real life as well. A worthy successor to Mad Dog. Mission Impossible Fallout 2018. Remember when I was praising Mad Dog for his ruthless encounter against Rama and Andy? Yeah, the decoy John Lark did him one better and took down both Tom Cruise and Henry Cavill with ease, even after getting whacked in the face by a sneak attack earlier. If I had to describe this scene as a gamer, I'd say it's one of those extremely rare situations where the side quest is a lot tougher than the main boss. I say that because August Walker is supposed to be the antagonist in this case, but Bro gets humbled along with the protagonist in rather embarrassing fashion. Well, it's not all that humiliating if we're being honest, because Yan Yang is an incredible martial artist and stunt performer. Regardless of the outcome, I love the choices they make with each actor's physicality. Henry Cavill is a total muscle bro, so it makes more sense for him to be doing the boxing and throwing. Tom Cruise is obviously smaller, but he's fast, so the elbow throws work for him. Of course, none of that matters because they had to rely on Faust coming in at the very last second to save Ethan Hunt, as well as the Mission Impossible franchise from getting ended in 2018. Fighting with Antiques. John Wick Parabellum 2019. There were some really impressive scenes that topped the years when the first two John Wick films were released, and even Parabellum had the finale of freaking Endgame to compete against. That was more of an all-out war, whereas this scene fits the criteria of a fight much better. You know what I love about this the most? These aren't one-hit kill enemies who are just there to give the hero an ego boost. They actually have just as much strength and skill as the protagonist does, making it a much more even contest, or, as a matter of fact, disadvantages to Mr. Wick as he's not in prime condition and is outnumbered. So yeah, this fight actually feels not only fair, but also more interesting because the enemies are tougher to take down. And trust me, the length of the fight is definitely appropriate enough, given how much effort it actually takes for John Wick to win. The way our man uses antiques to combat his opponents adds a classy vibe to the whole thing, and even though we're pretty much watching a merciless massacre. The usage of knives is also interesting because not every throw is perfect, which makes it more believable. The final axe swing, though, gets me every single time, and all I can say to Keanu Reeves after watching this sequence is, you're breathtaking. Thor can fight without thunder. Extraction 2020. That's right, Chris Hemsworth may be the MCU's God of Thunder to most people around the world, but for yours truly, I kinda like him better as Tyler Rake from Extraction because he's more relatable than Thor, who just zaps his opponents with Mjolnir whenever faced with a minor inconvenience. The one-take scene is the perfect combination of adrenaline-infused mayhem and excellent action choreography as it takes us through a roller coaster of emotions in all of 3 minutes. Tyler's not up against some random NPCs. His ops have got bulletproof vests on them, which means simply landing a hit ain't gonna cut it. And yes, there's no question of unlimited bullets either, as can be seen in our hero's strategic utilization of ammo. That's why the intensity of the sequence never lets up, especially the part where Obi Jr. is separated from him briefly. The eventual reunion is marked by an instant kill that makes Tyler all the more devastating as an individual. The focus in his eyes complements his fighting style, so kudos to Netflix for actually giving us something that wasn't a modern piece of garbage in 2020. You know, this entire scene somewhat convinced me that Chris Hemsworth is much better off playing characters from popular video game franchises. I mean, don't you think he'd make a great Captain Price from the world of modern warfare? Don't mess with a good lawyer. Nobody. 2021. Matt Murdock taught us not to mess with a good lawyer, but Bob Odenkirk really drove that idea home in this scene from 2021's Nobody. Better known as Saul Goodman, Bob made sure to be known by more than just one character, and Hutch fulfills that purpose greatly. The bus scene is the most popular moment from the entire movie, even though it does have a great final act as well. What works the best here is the fact that Hutch isn't some indestructible monarch like Sung Jin-woo. He gets hit hard, and he shows that it hurts. He struggles throughout the fight and even gets thrown out of the bus before coming back with even more anger and determination. It proves to us that having a bruised and battered protagonist adds a raw, realistic feel to any battle he participates in. Plus, the blows he struck on his opponents were no laughing matter. I mean, I almost felt the smashes and the punches myself with the way those sound effects echoed in my ears. The lack of an excessive background score was the right choice as it once again adds to the raw nature of the scene. Man, after a pounding like that, those dudes definitely better call Saul if they need proper compensation for the damages dealt to them. Winning with wit. Prey 2022. It was either this or the palace fight scene from RRR, and I've decided to go ahead with 2022's Prey because I'm a sucker for David's beating Goliaths. Look, I know this battle isn't perfect, but it's great for sure, and the main attraction isn't even the physical fighting, but rather the careful manipulation of Naru, which helps her overcome the Predator in badass fashion. Like I've said before, she should have technically won right after landing a shot in the back of the Predator's head, but I guess the writers wanted this scene to go on for a while, so we get some more witty thinking from our female protagonist. Look, if Arnold freaking Schwarzenegger couldn't even land a scratch by himself on the Predator from 1987, then there's no way a person the size of Naru was going to do anything by herself. The best part was that she knew this better than anyone else, which was why the planning totally worked in her favour. Sure, the Predator didn't take her seriously at all, but that was his mistake because by the end of the scene, Naru's not the one with a hole in her head. Bro really sabotaged himself with all that arrogance, and I'm sure the other Predators must have been laughing their jaws off after seeing him lose in such a disgraceful manner. The Baba Yaga breathes fire. John Wick, Chapter 4, 2023. The Extraction franchise may have found itself a second entry by topping 2023's list with a brilliant prison sequence from its sequel, but let's be honest here, if you're putting Chris Hemsworth up against the freaking Baba Yaga, who do you think's gonna win? John Wick Chapter 4 gave us plenty to cherish and also plenty to be emotional about, but for now, I'll just focus on how the world's favourite assassin ended up burning his opponents to death. Yes, that's right, the Dragon's Breath rounds were such a refreshing take on modern action scenes because it gave the audience a different variation of Mr. Wick's domination. Those fiery shots totally enhanced the vibe of the film, and it really made audiences appreciate the amount of thought that goes into making such a moment. On top of that, yes, pun intended, we got to see another POV during the sequence, which I felt was cool and much needed during a time when creativity in Hollywood is as common as meat on a vegan's plate. Yes, I do feel obliged to shout out that one dude who got burned twice in hilarious fashion, but he ain't the highlight by any stretch of the imagination. There isn't a single moment here that's less than perfect, and that's exactly why Keanu Reeves manages to edge out some impressive competition. The Monster Royal Rumble. Godzilla Kong, The New Empire, 2024. Yes, 2024 did have quite a few spectacular movies like Dune 2 and Deadpool and Wolverine, but I feel the most appropriate large-scale fight sequence on display had to be the final battle between Team Kong and Team Scar. I mean, just look at the shot where Kong, Godzilla, Scar King and Shimo are just launching at each other with no reservations at all. Like, that shot alone would have deserved the #1 spot of 2024. Of course, this is just a chronological sequencing of events and doesn't reflect overall placements, but damn, we sure got a lot to enjoy in the Royal Rumble of giant monsters. Whether it was evolved Godzilla pushing a considerably larger Shimo like it's nothing, or to see Kong punch a freaking tooth out of Scar King, the audience was never left feeling bored during this high-octane sequence. Yeah, I know they should have shown more of Godzilla vs. Shimo, but the creators clearly wanted the Ice Beast to live, so they made sure to minimize the fight between her and the King of the Monsters. That still doesn't take away from the fact that Scar King's end was cold AF, and yes, that is most definitely another pun intended. Oh man, I really can't wait to see what the Monsterverse has in store for us next. Hope you liked the video, please subscribe to the TV Region, and here's another video that I know you're going to enjoy.